Donne's Conceits. Paragraph number 1. Introduction. Poetry, in one definition, is considered to be the most heightened expression of one's feelings and ideas. In order to achieve this objective, the poet usually resorts to making use of appropriate imagery, which consists of analogies, comparisons, contrasts, similes, and metaphors. The poet could draw his images from a number of sources such as external nature, history, mythology, religion, geography, and natural sciences. Paragraph number 2. What is conceit? Donne is unique in the sense that he made use of conceits in his poetry, both religious as well as amorous. A conceit is a pleasant, fantastic, far-fetched idea, image, or comparison. For example, it would be a conceit to say that cool wine laughs for joy because a charming woman's lips will touch it. Similarly, when a lover, talking of his love for his mistress, that he were dead and buried, and if his mistress were only to walk over his grave, his very bone would stir and would grow into flower or plant. This is also a conceit. Thus, conceits are unusual and fantastic similes. Comparisons indicate similarity in the similar things, but conceits emphasize a degree of heterogeneity, a strong element of unlikeness and violence or strain used in bringing together dissimilar objects. There is more of the incongruity rather than the similarity in a conceit. Comparing the cheeks of a beloved to rose is an image, while comparing the cheeks of a lover to a rose because they have lost their vigor and are bleeding from thorn is a conceit. Paragraph number 3. Donne's Conceits. John Donne is called a metaphysical poet. One of the reasons of calling him so is his use of conceits in his poetry. Dryden and Johnson both conferred upon him this title because of his sudden flight from the material to the spiritual sphere, which made his poetry obscure and befalling to the reader. His poems abound in wit and conceit. Conceits are the very soul of his poetic diction. Paragraph number 4. Metaphysical. The first and foremost quality of Donne's conceits is that they are metaphysical. They are considered so because they are taken from the extended world of knowledge, from science, astronomy, astrology, scholastic philosophy, fine arts, mythology, and contemporary sciences. They are scholarly and learned conceits and often far-fetched and obscure. Moreover, they are elaborated. The well-known conceit of the two lovers is being compared to a pair of compass where one leg remains fixed at the center and the other rotates, an elaborated and extended conceit. Similarly, the comparison of the flea to a bridal bed or a marriage temple is another example of an elaborate conceit. In The Sun Rising, the beloved's bed is universe and the walls are the sphere. Paragraph number 5. Serve as an organic art. Another quality of Donne's conceits is that they are not used just for decoration. They serve as an organic art of the poet's process. While the Elizabethan conceit is traditional and ornamental, the metaphysical conceit is basic and structural. It is a part of the process of amplification and argument. It plays a vital role in proving the thesis that the poet wants to put across. According to Helen Gardner, in a metaphysical poem, the conceits are instruments of definition in an argument or instrument to persuade. The poet has something to say which the conceit helps to move forward. It can only do this if it is used within the appearance of logical vigor. Paragraph number 6. Unified sensibility. Another quality of Donne's conceits is that they have an element of unified sensibility. It was T.S. Eliot who came up with the term to associate with Donne's conceits. According to Eliot, the two faculties, that of feeling and of thinking, came to be disassociated from each other on account of one-sided emphasis placed since the time of Milton on intellect. Thus, after the 17th century, we have either poetry of thought or poetry of feeling, which is called disassociation of sensibility. Paragraph number 7. Feeling and thinking. This had an adverse effect on the history of poetry. But in the early part of 17th century, they were combined, they were one operation of the mind. It was not possible to think without feeling and feel without thinking. This is called unified sensibility because they use conceit. Donne and metaphysicals had a unified sensibility. Paragraph number 8. Failure and success. According to G. R. Cox, at its best, the metaphysical conceit communicates a unified experience. It is only where this is absent. The newness seems obtrusive and we feel unreal and fantastic hyperbole. When the use of conceit fails in its purpose, Dr. Johnson remarked, the most heterogeneous, unusual, or yoked by violence together seems to be justified, and when it succeeds, one thinks of rather Coleridge's remarks that imagination shows itself in the balance or reconciliation of opposite or discordant qualities. Paragraph number 9. Range of imagery. Bennett has pointed out that the range of Donne's imagery is wider than the subject matter of his poetry. His images are drawn from his own interests, so that he is always illustrating one fact of his experience by another. Everything that played an important part in his life or left a mark on his mind occurs in his poetry not as subject matter but as imagery. His subject matter, as has been seen, is confined almost entirely to various aspects of love and of religion. But his imagery and conceits reveal the width of his intellectual exploration. Paragraph number 10. Purpose of images. Donne's use of conceits shows that he had a different conception of the function of imagery from that of other poets. The purpose of an image in his poetry is to define an emotional experience by an intellectual parallel. He identifies his emotion with an intellectual image. His poetry does not abound in glowing descriptions of physical beauty. Instead, descriptions of mental states are to be met with frequently, and several of his poems show that he pins down a mental state into a conceit and succeeds in giving a concrete form to the inexpressible. Although Donne's images are far-fetched, his language is very simple. Thus, undoubtedly, this aspect reveals Donne's originality. Unlike the superficially poetic language of the times, Donne deliberately chose the colloquial speech and made a special use of it even when he is expressing the most complex emotion or experience. He does not give up simple or colloquial speech. Paragraph number 11, linked to the poem. Although Donne's conceit or image is rugged, coarse, and far-fetched, it imparts a sense of pleasure and exaltation as it has astonishing link with the whole poem. In other words, an image cannot be detached from a certain situation, from a highly emotional tension. Donne's conceits outgrow from the given dramatic movement to indicate the relationship of the characters and that of ideas. His conceit reveals an organic growth, profuseness, and proliferation, while gets sustenance from complexity, intensity, profundity of the given experience. Thus, a popular conceit of Donne has a significance in the context of the whole poem. Paragraph number 12, conclusion. The above illustrations clearly suggest that Donne made himself unique by using conceits in his poetry, and he used them very successfully and efficiently, keeping in view the nature of his themes.